or open the meeting of the Potter Valley Healthcare District at 7:02 p.m. Rosie, if you could please give us a roll call for
Yes,
today.
Director Cox? Here. Director Gallagher?
Here.
Director Finishaw?
Here.
Director Blanford? Here. Attorney Newsom?
Here. There was there's no closed session items to report out at the beginning of this meeting. And I do have one agenda modification for consideration for tonight's Potter Valley Healthcare District meeting, and that is to have a late item added to the end of this agenda because it was not known to us at the time that this agenda was posted on October 25th, and it's an urgent as it relates to the property insurance in preparation of the purchase of the Watsonville Community Hospital. I'll ask now from the board if we can, for a motion to add this item onto the end of our healthcare district meeting.
I'll move that we added item 10, the motion authorizing CEO and COO enter into insurance group.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, Director Finishaw and Cox, all take roll. Director Cox? Yes. Director Gallagher?
Yeah.
Director Finishaw?
Yes.
Director Blanford? Yes. Attorney Newsom?
Yes. Okay, I'll now open up the public comment session for matters not on tonight's agenda. Rosie, are there any raised hands online?
No, here's the line.
Anyone in the general public? Seeing no raised hands with people here, I will now close down the public comment on matters not on tonight's agenda and open it up to any comments from our board members before I move on to consent calendar. Seeing no comments, I will close down the comment from the board members and we'll now move to the consent calendar. We have, remind myself here again, 5 items for the consent calendar, and Director Pimentel, if you want to address item number 4.
I can do that after our comments.
Okay.
Public comment.
Any questions about any of these items for staff before we open up to public comment? No. No raised hands online. As I open up for the public comment, anyone in person wishing to speak to us on any of these 5 items? Okay, seeing none, I will close down the public comment and entertain a motion from the board.
A motion that we approve the consent agenda, noting that item number 4, the Potter Valley Healthcare District Board Meeting 2025 calendar shall be amended to reflect the hospital's calendars related to the Finance Committee meetings, moving from Tuesdays at noon to Tuesdays at 3.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second. Director Finishaw and Cox, all right, they'll take roll. Director Cox? Yes. Director Gallagher?
Yes.
Director Finishaw?
Yes.
Director Blanford?
Yes.
Attorney Newsom?
Yes, and before we move on to discussion items, I just want to thank Julie and all of the leadership team for item number 5. And just your ability to be really flexible with some of these things and to work so quickly on the fly to make these adjustments and make the hospital viable in these sort of situations. So thank you. So moving on to item number 6, and this is a discussion item, and it's the Measure M, presentation from I believe we have a representative from the Potter Valley Unified School District here tonight to speak for us.
Yes, you do.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello.
I wanted to be crunchy up on myself.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It is so nice to come before you. I see so many familiar and friendly faces. Thank you so much. I'm very nervous, as you can tell. It is, thank you for allowing us to come to speak to you on behalf of the school district about our Measure M. November 5th is coming up, and we have an opportunity to have it on the measure on May, on the bond, in May of this year. The Board of Education approved a $315 million bond that will appear on the November 5th ballot. Many of you have already code. This bond will allow the school district to make critical renovations and improvements to schools and classrooms across PVUSD. Measure N will also qualify the district for state matching funds. The measure requires an approval by at least 55% of the ballot. And I do have to say that when they did take out this the community a couple of years ago, they had about a 77% approval rate. I also want to add that Measure M will also explore employee housing. That's very important in that area, as you know. It is in a slice of paradise. We pay for it. And so it's very difficult to attract high quality personnel all the time when it is so expensive to live in this area. So we are very happy that we will be able to explore that option if Measure passes. $315 million on the ballot. This means that there will be a homeowner will pay about $60 for every $100,000 of assessed value on their home. Not the current value, but the value had when they purchased their home. Measure N hopes to expand high school career and technical education classrooms. As you know, we have a very robust CTE program at PVUSD, and we can only do so much with older facilities. It is important that we're able to update them so that students can thrive. We are ready to repair and replace leaky roofs, pipes, and plumbing systems. We need to update aging electrical, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. And most importantly, funds cannot be taken by the state and spent elsewhere, such as salaries. We're not allowed to use those funds for salaries. How are taxpayers protected? The bond will have full public disclosure of all expenditures. They cannot be taken by the state and spent elsewhere. PVUSD will create an independent citizens oversight committee that will review and report on all bond fund expenditures. I do want to point out, based on my previous experience, that we do request that members of the committee have experience in budgets and in construction projects, so they understand what's happening with the funds. We do ask that some of those members have that ability. Very important. And oftentimes, many of our projects require matching funds, and we don't have it. We don't have any matching funds at this moment. Unfortunately, the education is only funded for salaries and left very little for other things such as operations. 86% of our budget is spent on salaries. This you can read what is included on the ballot at the moment. And I am not going to go into that because it's boring to read to you. I will put you to sleep at this time. And I am going to go into this other slide that has a few more of the projects that are intended to be completed with this bond. I do want to say that many of our facilities are old, 40 to 60 years old. It's time to update them. And I will read for the benefit of the audience who may not be able to read. I will read just a couple of these items. Installing additional fencing and point of entry access systems. This is to address safety and security. Creating greater accessibility to classrooms, restrooms, walkways, and playgrounds in compliance with the American Disabilities Act. Upgrading aging electrical wiring and systems. and this is important, making the district more competitive in attracting and retaining highly qualified teachers and staff by constructing teacher staff housing, allowing them to live in the community they work in. Part of the classroom renovation will include developing laboratories for technology, robotics, coding, and construction courses. And two important pieces in our community, one being the Mello Center. We hope to update that and upgrade it. It is such an important place in our community where people gather, and we want to make it better. And the second, another wonderful project that we have planned would be a construction of a performing arts center at Pajaro Valley High School, something that they haven't had. And just to make it equal to the other high schools, that's a project that's on the list as well. Just wanted to reiterate that, if we do not have funds to play around with in our budget, we're not able to apply for, matching funds for projects with matching funds. It limits a lot of the projects that we can do at a school site. Construction projects are very expensive. And so these bonds will hugely support that. And it's also very important to highlight that there is full public disclosure of bond spending as required by law. Thank you very much. I forgot to mention my name. I apologize for that. My name is Alicia Jimenez. I'm the Public Information Officer for the school district. And that is the end of my presentation, and I'm open for questions.
All right.
I hope I can answer them.
Thank you, Alicia. Any questions for Ms. Alicia Jimenez here before we open up for public comment on this item?
Two questions, and I'll keep it brief. Thank you for this. I appreciate all the work that's done behind. You guys have done a really nice job summarizing this, answered most of my questions. Do you have is it too early to say, like, the teacher housing, where would that be located? Is it going to be primarily in, like, what I call Pajaro Valley proper, or will that be, you know,
No, it will be probably
closer to
there's
that?
some property that we have. There's some property that we already have, like near Amesti is one of the locations that I know for sure. Possibly Pajaro, they have another location that a property where we can build.
Yes.
So those are two that I am aware of, but exploring also includes looking at properties we can purchase.
Yes.
So that we can go.
I think that's enough for me. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind.
Any other questions for Alicia? Okay, I'm gonna open up to public comment now. Rosie, any raised hands online?
Don't have the one.
Anyone in the public here today that would like to ask any? No? Okay, so Alicia, thanks so much for the presentation. This is just receive and file,
Thank you very much.
and I appreciate your time for being here.
I appreciate you. And
Thank you.
thank you for having this in our community.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So, we will now move on to item number 7, and it is a branching off of that topic, a consideration of a Measure M endorsement. So the recommendation is to consider adopting a resolution in support of the Pajaro Valley Unified School District, the General Obligation Bond Measure M, which is on next Tuesday, crazy to say, next Tuesday's agenda, or sorry, election. I understand we have someone from the Measure M campaign with us here today presenting. Is that right?
No, we don't have a, Mr. Pablo Estrada. You may know him. You're up.
You wanted to make
I don't know that I have another presentation, but that's
I believe, so we are now at the item for the endorsement of Measure M. And so we just heard a presentation from the Pajaro Valley Unified School District. And if you would like to add anything from the campaign perspective,
Sure.
before we discuss or possible motion.
Great.
Open up to the
I love
public.
the opportunity. Thank you. My name is Francisco Estrada. People know me as Paco Estrada. I was a former council member for the city of Watsonville, mayor, 2019, and I'm also a product of the school district. I went to HA High, Rolling Hills, Watsonville High, Athos High, and thanks to the investment done by your generation, for my generation, I think the fruits, the investment has been repaid over and over and over. And we have students like that all over the district, just with a ton of potential, ready to lead, ready to flourish, you know, but these last couple of years have been a little difficult for our district. We've had the pandemic, we've had surrounding issues, and our students are being left behind. And, you know, this is an opportunity for us to now do what past generations did for us, and that's to provide our students and our teachers, our facilities with, you know, resources that they desperately need. Being in politics, I'll tell you that I always like to tell people that this is right now probably the cheapest option because things will get more expensive. Having to deal with the generation of youth that lost time out of school without the resources that they need means that we'll have to pay for it later on in other services, you know? So this is much needed. It has housing included, it has upgrades, it has security, it has modernization, it has simple things like cool, hot air in the classroom that really makes a difference for students. Little things like that that really will go a long way. So, you know, these things aren't perfect measures. You know, inflation is hurting everyone. But, you know, the hospital just went through a bond process itself, and it's never a good time to ask the voters for money. But, you know, if you had to make priorities, if you had to make choices, we really are asking that you consider this one just because of the way that it could just pay itself over and over and over again in the future. So we really hope you consider it. We think it's a good measure. We think it's a good investment for youth. And so we were asking all our partners, all of the heavy hitters in the community to come together to support this and see if we can get it through the finish line in a few days. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer, or any comments, anything, you know, I'm here.
Any questions for Mr. Papa Estrada before we open up to public comment? Very quiet board tonight. Thank you, Papa. Can we, are there any raised hands online?
No, that's online.
Okay. Anyone in the public wishing to speak on this item for measure, potential endorsement measure? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back for discussion, deliberation for the board. Any additional questions, or just comments on this?
I'll jump in with a comment. I started from these schools, my kids were in the Power Valley School District. I love this community and I appreciate the effort. I started at South Lettuce, it's now Alianza. I was a little bit old when I learned what South Lettuce actually translated to, and I thought that was funny. So I'm just grateful to see these efforts, and I'm really pleased to hear that most of the funding is, although the school district is a larger area going up, you know, up towards the House area, that there's priorities to keep it in this community. So I appreciate that effort.
Any other comments from the board about this item or any other deliberation? And if not, then I'll entertain a motion on that.
I'll move the recommendation to support Measure N.
Can I get a second? Second. Before we go for a roll call, aside from what's before us today, I just want to thank staff for doing the work to put us in this position to be able to take a stance one way or another on policies and measures and things in this upcoming election that mean something to the board. You know, I think that was something that as we continue to build out the district and as we continue to mature and grow and get past this really stage of adolescence. I mean, we're 2 years old as a district. And we have another item coming up that is another huge milestone for us as well too. Just thank you for the work from staff to get us to this point where we can weigh in on these sort of items that are really essential tools for our community to continue to improve and help outcomes, because that's ultimately what we're here to do for the hospital district, or for the healthcare district, I should say, is not just tackle the operations within the walls of the hospital, but also make a difference in our community for just general wellness and well-being for members of our community. So just thank you for drafting the policy and putting it before us and allowing us to take this stance one way or another on items. Rosie, whenever you're ready.
Director Gallagher,
Yes.
Director Cox,
Yes.
Director Pimentel,
Yes.
Director Tabata,
Yeah.
and Chair Nunez.
Yes. Okay, if you'd like to add something or?
Yeah, just to thank the board really for your consideration, your thoughtfulness, and to say that, this is public health, you know, to, invest in our students like this is definitely public health, and it's, you know, we're all talking about positive outcomes for our community, so thank you so much for your support and for considering this. Thank you.
Says a lot because you're an Aptos High School graduate.
It's a fact that.
From a wild,
I
from
know.
a wildcat. It says a lot that we say yes. Fellow wildcat. This is easy. Awesome. So, we'll now move on to item number 8, and it's the Parker Valley Healthcare District project. Doing business as Watsonville Community Hospital Foundation. An update from our Executive Director, June Ponce.
Go Cats. Oh, hey. Good evening, members of the board. June Ponce, Executive Director of Watsonville Community Hospital Foundation. Happy here to share the latest information on the foundation slash Pajaro Valley Unified School District, the project, Pajaro Valley Healthcare Project.
We're with you.
There's lots to share. What we're gonna go through is I'm gonna give you a recap of who our board members are, our mission, vision, and what our 2023 look like, financials, a high level overview, where we stand on Packard loan, and then what we've accomplished in 2020, 2024 has been fantastic year. Okay, so our board members, just as a recap, we have a new board chair. Board chair now is Andrea Carlos Willie. We formerly had Ms. Irene Chavez, who was with former president, regional president of Kaiser. She moved out of the area and really wanted to retire. So she's now living in New Mexico and very happy of graciously Andrea Carlos Willie, who works with the Unified School District, has stepped up to be of our board. And just to highlight what the mission of the organization of the foundation is, really to amplify and support the hospital through philanthropy, innovation, partnership, and connectivity to create sustainable access to healthcare in the Pajaro Valley region. Our vision is we envision a vibrant Pajaro Valley where equitable, high-quality healthcare thrives, diverse cultures are celebrated, and trust-based philanthropy empowers sustainable investment in our community health. This was created not too long ago, earlier this year. We took the model that the hospital had and really wanted to create that synergy of what you all approved last year as well. Our values are trust, because we do believe that we want our donors and partners to trust all transactions and see transparency. Gratitude, because we acknowledge and we have gratitude for every contribution made to the hospital. I respect that, whether it's $1, $2, $1 million, we are grateful for every dollar that comes in. Community engagement is pretty much the heart of what we do, right? It's that connecting to community and fostering and creating those partnerships and collaboration. And forward thinking, what can we do as your foundation, as a foundation to improve innovative thinking and bring opportunities to our hospital and community? So a high level overview, let me give you context on the 2023. 2023 was when the project essentially said, we need a foundation, here you go. This is what we have. There were multiple transactions happening in 2023. So it was a moving year with lots of moving pieces. And we still have lots of moving pieces. When we acquired the project, we were essentially only, what, a year and a half old. So this really created, it was a snapshot really of what we had. So revenue and support for 2023, we were at 875,000. That includes, we included the in-kind contribution that we received from the hospital through salaries and rental and space and technology and equipment. For our program services and fundraising administrative expenses, that was 390,000. Again, that includes the in-kind that we received from the hospital. Overall, the net asset change was 485,000. Beginning of the year of 2023, we had 698,000, and at the end we were healthy $1.1 million net assets. One of the biggest things that the foundation has a long-term debt with the Packard Foundation. We originally had this loan. It was the runway money when we were doing the capital campaign for the hospital. We were able to gain several donors that pledging money for the next three years. And so the original loan, which was 6.3, was the funds that helped the hospital once we acquired it with our runway money. And so the original loan amount still have a few to pay. The original loan amount is $6.3 million. As of 2023, at the end of 2023, we owed 4.7. This year, we made two significant payments, one of $1.9 million to pay. And in September, we did a substantial prepayment of $500,000 to support both the hospital and support, paying down the loan. We still have a balance of we continue to have a balance of $2.3 million. Our next payment would have been $1.9 million, but because we made that $500,000 next payment due in March is for $1.4 million. And then I wanted to show what the reserves of the 1.1, the board, because we have this liability, we've maintained an excellent relationship with all of the donors, right, who pledge funds to offset this Packard. But there is still, we don't know the situation with every donor, right? Financial situations change, and so keeping some funds in reserves is always wise and as the board is recommending. So high level overall, what have we done in 2024? A lot has happened in 2024. We still continue to grow. as a foundation. We were able to launch Nourish. We supported the measure and efforts and fundraising, for the campaign. We're continuing to lay the groundwork for a strong foundation. We just want to be a solid foundation to ensure that we continue to provide the hospital, and just like the hospital is growing and learning, you know, what do we need to know now in terms of policies and procedures? We're on the same page. So we're in the phase of growth. And also continuing to build our relationships with our current donors and fostering new relationships with potential donors and businesses. We had a successful Twilight Tapestry Gala, which was our first major gala. I still have continued to hear positive comments about it. And we've had great success with grants and private funding this year. We sponsored the first, in a very long time, leadership retreat for the hospital staff. And just recently got awarded the Community Impact Award from Silicon Valley Business Journal. So there was, thank you, Gabe. I think it was the work, and as I shared with the group, it really is a celebration of our town, celebration of our community, a celebration of how committed this town is for our hospital. And it was really inspiring. We had lots of comments. I think in Silicon Valley, we are on their radar. And so that's really what we're trying to achieve, is to expand the footprint of what we do within our hospital. The gala, you may see some familiar faces there. Julie, we see you. The gala was a great success. I think overall, we're looking at a net. We're still working on the numbers because we haven't done a gala before the foundation. So there's, we're trying to figure out where do we put fund the need, how, you know, with the financial aspect. But we're looking at between 135 to 140,000 net that was raised. That is incredibly good for only 230 people who were present. And I've done my research. Let me tell you, we really knocked it out of the ballpark based on other local events. So I think there's area for improvement always, right? And areas, I think what I have heard is people wanting to be present at the next event. So I think we will have additional people, additional guests, and I think we're on to something really good. And I want to share with you some of the exciting things that, oh gosh. Okay, here, let me share with you what has happened. We've been busy. The foundation has been busy. We have raised quite a bit of money through grants. I feel like this cath lab is coming to fruition, and there's a couple grants that we've received this year. One from the Dally Webb Foundation for $88,000. This is all to purchase equipment for our hospital. It'll buy an intra-aortic balloon pump. Kaiser has come in for a Impella device, a gurney, $15,000 for cath lab startup supplies. So we need to start our cath lab. I asked, I need money for the little materials that you need. Okay, here's $15,000. For hospital equipment, the Joseph and Vera Long Foundation, for our OB, they are providing $36,000. $9,000 for a rapid infuser, a blood warmer. And then the Monterey Peninsula Foundation just awarded us $25,000 for an additional anesthesia machine. Last year, we weren't able, due to the cost and other items, we weren't able to purchase the fourth anesthesia machine, and so I requested additional money. The foundation will support and supplement the rest of the funds as Monterey Peninsula Foundation requested. And so the other piece is the radar localization. Apparently that's a big deal. Yes? Yeah. Matt was like, this is a big deal. And I'm for it. I'm ready for it. The other thing, earlier this year, we had partnered with the PV Health Trust to do a joint grant, and they funded from the Alliance $16,000 to buy mannequins and educational equipment for our nurses. And the most recent one from the Alliance, $1.4 million for support of critical infrastructure, our emergency room, and our labor and delivery. Most of it will support network infrastructure, ED equipment, and our labor and delivery. It's a big one. It's a lot of reporting on it, but it's a big one, right? So we're looking at about $2.3 million that has been raised this year and will be coming to the hospital and hopefully build on what we already started. For the foundation, what we're looking for this coming year, we still will continue to establish our essential policies and procedures as things come up and as we grow. You know, our policies and procedures need to grow along with that to create structure. We're laying the groundwork. Really, my goal is to make this a solid foundation, and I'm thinking long-term. Long-term is the way to go, right? It's thinking about those donors who can leave legacy gifts. But there's a lot we need to get from A to B to C, and there's a lot of groundwork that needs to happen, and that's where that's a little squeaky wheel gets the, well, what is it called? Squeaky wheel gets the, huh? Squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
Okay, see, I wasn't ready to saying that. That wasn't a Watsonville High thing. You just do it. You just do it. You just do the work and create. So that's kind of what I'm setting up and the board's setting up long-term. And then we're looking at enhancing our board capacity. We have a small board, and by the end of this year or early next year, we will bring on an additional about three new board members. And then again, it's expanding our fundraising pathways, right? And our footprint. Silicon Valley, just around the corner. Monterey County, just in crossing the bridge. So there's opportunities that we haven't tapped, but that's what we're going to focus moving on and moving forward. Let's see. And that's it.
Nice
Any
job, thank you.
questions? Any comments, anything I can help answer?
Any questions for June before, please?
Comment, I mean, 2.3 million is real.
It's real.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jim.
Okay.
Open up for public comment on this. Anyone wishing to speak?
Job, Jenny.
June, just thank you for all your work. I'll see you on Friday, and thank you for continuing to just be yourself, you know, in this position. And I think that donor relations is really difficult, and some people can take themselves a little too serious in these things, and you have a way about yourself of dealing with people, and I think that that's a big part of that 2.3 million that's coming into the hospital. And so just thank you for continuing to be June, continue to work really hard and setting up the foundation for success in the future. You've done a really great job. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
I second that, whatever you said.
It means a lot. It means a lot. We're all doing it together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll now move on to item number 9. It's a consideration adopting resolution of intention to transition to a quote by zone electoral system under the Pajaro Valley Healthcare District Enabling Act and the California Voting Rights Act. Steve, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so as you said, that is what we are looking for. Today, the district, as you know, was established in 2022 by special state legislation, Senate Bill 418. And it was created as an at-large electoral system in contrast to a by-zone electoral system. And we, the Enabling Act set us up that way, but then mandated that the district would transition to by-zones within a certain timeframe. And specifically within 5 years of the date of the first meeting of the board of directors. So, and the zones shall be effective for that next district election after the resolution is done. So we are looking to create ourselves as a by-zone electoral system in time for the November 2026 election cycle. So the county registrar of voters would need any such resolution no later than 6 months prior to that. So springtime of 2026. It will require the retention of a demographic expert to calculate the appropriate population and census figures in the district and to draw some maps. Once selected, that demographer will consider public input. We will have public hearings to discuss the ideas around the zones and the maps. We'll work closely with district council to present ultimately a menu of legally compliant maps for the board's consideration. And we'll have multiple public hearings to go through all that. And we'll go kind of above and beyond what is required by the statute in terms of public hearings, so that there's plenty of public input on this process.
Thank you. Any questions for Steve? Rosie's super involved in this too, so you got more to
Just one thing to read into the record on the
Please do.
resolution. On page 2, right above section 1, there was a typo. Now therefore, the board of directors of the Pajaro Valley Healthcare District. This is how this should read, not the high desert water. We corrected, this is crowded. Just wanted to read that.
Okay. Please, yeah.
I have a question. This might be for Noel, legal. It's coming from a place of how we balance all the work we have to do in the next 6 months. And my concern is, although the analysis states, although AB 350 sets timelines that within 90 days of today, we must complete a lot of things, that your feeling is we don't have to abide by AB 350 for other reasons. I'm wondering why create any risk at all, and if we're not gonna act in 90 days, I don't know what staff's plan is. I'm wondering what's the urgency of coming tonight to our board meeting for this action versus coming back in January or February for the same action.
So once you get this resolution on file, then you can't have someone that comes up and claims that you should be moving and have not. This stops that clock running because there is the ability out there to file a claim if you haven't yet moved to it. So this kind of stops that process. And so you wouldn't be open to that liability.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we open up for public comment? Seeing none. Rosie, any raised hands online?
No, hands on mine.
Anyone wishing to speak about this in person? Seeing none. I'll bring it back for any comments and then also open it up to a motion. And it is the recommended action in front of us is to adopt a resolution declaring the intention to transition from at-large to by-zone elections pursuant to the California Health and Safety Code section 32498.6 and the Election Code section 110E3A. Pretty good. I do say so myself.
Memorized.
Yeah. Any comments? I have a couple comments before we open up to, but anyone looking like to make a motion on the resolution for us?
All motion, the staff recommendation.
Yes, do I have a second here?
I'll second.
And of course, noting, the type of correction on this
Yes.
resolution.
We'll do a roll call.
All right, Director Cox? Yes. Director Gallagher?
Yeah.
Director Pimentel?
Yes.
Director Swanson?
Yeah.
Attorney?
Yes, and just my quick comments is, just like I said before, this is just another step for the board to continue to mature and to become the board that I think we all want it to be. As someone who, got very lucky that did not have to go through and have a campaign as, you know, leading into November. Signing that, check for $1,700, to just get my name onto the booklet, was intimidating. And so I'm very happy that, I didn't have to run a campaign and I could just email the registrar of voters and say, hey, please dispose of that check and, never let me look at it again. That cost, just having that cost removed or lessened for people interested in running for the district board is gonna open it up to so many different potential candidates within our community, and that's a huge a component of creating a healthcare district that is representative of our community, is allowing more and more people to be part of this process. So I'm really excited about this. I have a ton of suggestions about how we can continue to make it more inclusive for people within our community of all different backgrounds and income levels and nationalities. And so I'm just really excited about the work to come for the next year. And I know a lot of our board, or a lot of our leadership team is as well too. So thank you. And with that, we'll bring on item number 10. And that is the Potter Valley Healthcare District Property Ownership Insurance Policy. Matt, if you want to tee it up again for us.
Sure, thank you. So this is as a result of purchasing the property 45, 65, 75, and 85 Meals. We were working on securing commercial property insurance for the hospital and associated buildings. Currently working with the brokers, determining the estimated value of the property. We have a grid here that's presented as a result of working with local regional architects and builders to determine replacement costs for the property, which has resulted in an estimated valuation of a little over $357 million. So we're asking that you pass a motion authorizing Steve or myself and our delegates to find this policy when it's time. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Matt or anyone, any other staff?
Does Julie need to be added again or?
Doesn't mean, yeah, so the same motion.
Same language. Yeah,
Same language as the hospital court.
Okay, any other questions before we open up the public comment? Okay, any raised hands online for public comment? Seeing none, now open it up to folks here in the room with us. The awkward stare does not get less awkward as the night goes. I'll now close down the public comment, and I will entertain a motion on this item.
I'll move staff's recommendation with the modification to the motion that authorizes the delegate by the chief executive officer, chief operating officer.
I'll second.
Director Pimentel? Call the roll, Director Cox? Yes. Director Gallagher?
Yeah.
Director Pimentel?
Yes.
Director Swanson?
Yes.
Attorney?
Yes. It passes unanimously, and that brings us to the end of the Potter Valley Healthcare District meeting.